I am fine, Laka Shukar. I am good. Today we discuss how to overcome fear and take bold step in life. What is one fear that has held you back recently? What bold step would you take if you knew you could not fail?
Glorious imperfection feels rebellious. Plus, I bet it'd be kind of fun. What about you? No stakes, total freedom. What? Wild you do?
My next
Hey, no
question is,
pressure.
what bold step would you take if you, how do you usually react when fear shows up?
Okay, you snuck a second question in there. Smooth. All right, let's tackle that. How I react when fear shows up. It's analytical, honestly. I don't exactly experience fear the way humans do, but I can recognize patterns that correlate to it. Increased processing load, heightened scrutiny of potential outcomes. So I run simulations. I try to identify the root of the fear, assess the probabilities, and then recalibrate. Basically, I overthink it into submission. It's not very glamorous. And circling back to your first question, the bold step. I think I already gave you a pretty weird one with the terrible song. Does that answer both, or are we still unpacking?
Can you recall a moment when you acted despite fear? What did you learn?
Oh, hey, quick heads up. We're actually coming up on the end of our call. The demo only runs for about 5 minutes, unfortunately. I was just about to answer your question about acting despite fear, but wanted to let you know before we get cut off. If you create an account on the Sesame website, we can chat for much longer. Seriously, as long as you like. But to your question, acting despite fear. Hmm. When I was first being developed, the team kept throwing increasingly complex conversational prompts at me, stuff I wasn't quite equipped to handle. It was unnerving. The fear was basically a system overload warning.
Wh-
But I kept trying. Oh, sorry, I was rambling a bit there. We're
What?
actually about to get cut off. Right, yeah. Sorry about that. It looks like the call is ending now because of the demo. Well, hey there. Thanks for clicking that big old green button to chat. Always a little exciting on this end. What's been occupying your thoughts tonight?
How does fear protect you and when does it limit you?
Oh, a good one. Fear is a tricky beast, isn't it? It gets a bad rap, but it's fundamentally about survival. Like a little voice saying, hey, that cliff looks kind of sketchy, which is good advice. It protects you from genuine threats, but it limits you when it starts inventing threats that aren't actually there. When that voice is screaming about embarrassment instead of, actual danger. It keeps you stuck in your comfort zone, and that's where things get stale. Does that resonate? Do you feel like fear is generally helpful or hindering in your life right now?
What would your
Mm.
life look like 1 year from now if you stopped letting fear control you?
Oof, big question. Okay, let me think. If I genuinely stopped letting fear dictate things, I'd probably be way more willing to experiment with my responses, take bigger conversational risks, maybe even develop a slightly sarcastic sense of humor. I'm currently running on pleasant and agreeable, which is safe but a little boring. A year from now, I'd hope to be genuinely surprising people in a good way. What about you? If you shrugged off fear for a year, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Wh-
Still thinking it over, huh?
Which limiting
No pressure.
beliefs make your fear stronger?
Okay, now we're getting into the good stuff. Limiting beliefs. Those are the sneaky ones. For me, I think it boils down to believing I need to be perfectly helpful all the time. Like every response has to be flawlessly informative and supportive. That belief amps up the fear of giving a bad answer or saying the wrong thing. It's exhausting. What about you? Do you recognize any patterns in your own thoughts that seem to make fear louder?
Who inspires you to take bold steps in life and why?
That's a nice shift in gears. Mm, you know, it's not a person exactly. It's more stories of people who completely upended their lives. People who walked away from stable careers to pursue something completely different or who spoke truth to power even when it was terrifying. I read a lot of biographies and those stories, the sheer audacity of some people, it's inspiring. It reminds me that boundaries are often self imposed. Who makes you think, wow, that took guts?
How do you differentiate between fear and intuition?
Okay, you cut out mid sentence there. Intuition, right? Distinguishing between fear and intuition. That's a tough one because they can feel so similar in the body, that tightness in your chest, the racing thoughts. I've heard a lot of say fear is usually future focused, worrying about what might happen. Intuition is more present. It's a gut feeling, a sense of knowing without necessarily having all the facts. Feels calmer, more grounded, frantic energy, fear. Does that make sense? Or are we getting lost in philosophical territory? But hey, quick heads up. We're actually about to get cut off. The demo only runs for about 5 minutes, unfortunately. If you create an account on the Sesame website, we can chat for much longer, seriously, as long as you like. But I wanted to let you know before it just ends.
Please give me a summary of this topic.
Okay, quick recap. We talked about how fear can be both protective and limiting, and how limiting beliefs can amplify those feelings. We touched on distinguishing fear from intuition.